Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, I want you to imagine the late 19th century for a second. We're moving from the soot-filled, gas-lit streets to the bright, glowing lights of the bustling modern city. It was, without a doubt, a time of breathtaking technological change that fundamentally altered human existence. But behind that glow, there was a fierce, high-stakes battle over exactly how our world would be powered for the next century and beyond. Okay, let's dive into this. Now, the technical differences of electricity transmission might sound, kind of like dry engineering, but this was actually a dramatic, character-driven historical rivalry. Two opposing visions for the future collided, and the winner of this feud literally laid the groundwork and the power lines for the modern world we live in today. So, in one corner of what became known as the War of the Currents, we have Team DC. This side was championed by the legendary inventor Thomas Edison, who was pushing a localized direct current system. And in the other corner, Team AC, led by industrialist George Westinghouse and the brilliant visionary Nikola Tesla, advocating for long-distance alternating current.
Part 1. Edison's bright idea and its fatal flaw.
To really understand this battle, we have to look at the reigning champion first. In 1882, Thomas Edison opened the very first commercial power plant, the Pearl Street Station, right in Lower Manhattan. He started delivering 110-volt DC electricity to early adopters, which finally allowed the public to see the true magic of the incandescent light bulb at work in their own homes and businesses. But you have to realize the scale here. 82. That's how many customers Edison's massive revolutionary power plant initially served. It powered a total of about 400 lamps. It really emphasizes the incredibly small scale of early electrification. Honestly, it was a total luxury, strictly confined to a tiny radius. The reason for that small scale actually comes down to the technology itself. You see, Edison's system ran on direct current, or DC. This is an electric current that flows steadily in one direction all the time, kind of like the power you get from a standard battery today. Now, this low voltage was relatively safe for domestic use, which was absolutely great for Edison's light bulbs, but it came with massive engineering limitations. So the crucial point is that DC power just could not travel very far. The power dissipated as heat in the wires, meaning generating stations had to be built incredibly close to the end users. We're talking generally within a single mile. And because industrial factories needed higher voltages than residential homes, cities became festooned with this chaotic, messy spiderweb of different cables. It was a total eyesore, super inefficient, and incredibly localized.
Part 2. The AC Challenger emerges.
So Edison's distance problem was a massive bottleneck for human progress. I mean, electricity desperately needed to break free from that single-mile radius. And the solution? Alternating current, or AC. Unlike DC, AC reverses direction back and forth. This specific property is a total game-changer because it allows AC voltage to be easily manipulated, stepped up to very high voltages or stepped down to lower voltages. This one simple difference provided a massive world-changing advantage. The elegant and, frankly, brilliant technical solution that made this all possible is the transformer. George Westinghouse actually licensed Tesla's polyphase system using transformers to finally overcome those localized limitations of direct current. See, high voltages are a lot easier to transmit efficiently over massive distances, but obviously you need lower voltages for safe domestic use. The transformer bridged that gap perfectly. And this brilliantly illustrates the elegance of the AC system in 3 really simple steps. First, you generate the electricity at a massive centralized plant. Then, you use a transformer to step up the voltage, shooting it efficiently across vast distances without losing all that power to heat. Finally, once it reaches a town, you step the voltage back down so it's perfectly safe for neighborhoods. Boom! Suddenly, Edison's 1-mile barrier was completely shattered.
Part 3. The war gets dirty.
As AC started proving its technical superiority, Edison realized his incredibly lucrative DC empire was deeply threatened, and man, the fight got ugly. He launched a dark, gruesome public relations smear campaign. Edison's associates literally resorted to publicly electrocuting stray animals using alternating current, all to convince the public that AC was a deadly, unmanageable threat. It was just a desperate attempt to weaponize fear against a clearly superior technology.
But, progress rarely stops for PR stunts. Despite all the fear-mongering, AC's ability to efficiently transmit power over massive distances drove down costs and expanded reach in ways DC simply couldn't match. The underlying economics meant Westinghouse and Tesla were ultimately destined to win the whole shebang.
Part 4. The decisive victories.
The theoretical debate was over. It was time to prove it on the world stage. Now, what's really interesting here is the pure, tangible business reality of the situation. To electrify the spectacular 1893 Chicago World's Fair, Edison's General Electric bid $554,000. Westinghouse countered using their highly efficient AC system and bid just $399,000. They won the contract, and let me tell you, when that fair lit up, it was a glowing, undeniable advertisement for alternating current.
History was suddenly moving incredibly fast. Think about it. In 1882, Edison was struggling to push power a single mile. But by 1896, Westinghouse harnessed hydroelectric power from Niagara Falls and successfully transmitted an 11,000-volt AC current all the way to Buffalo, New York. That is a massive distance of 20 miles. The war was officially over.
Part 5. Shaping the Modern Grid.
The victory of alternating current didn't just decide a corporate rivalry. It quite literally birthed the vast, interconnected infrastructure that defines modern human civilization. Contrast Edison's tiny 82-customer network with our reality today. Because AC allowed for centralized power plants located far away from cities, we built an absolute behemoth of an electrical grid. Today, there are over 150,000 miles of high-voltage transmission lines in the U.S. alone, linking massive generators to load centers across states and borders. It's staggering.
And the demand that grid supports? It's completely off the charts. In 2022, America used a record 4.05 trillion kilowatt-hours of electricity. Trillion. That is roughly 14 times as much power as the country used back in 1950. We have electrified almost every single aspect of our lives based entirely on the AC foundation laid over a century ago.
Let's move forward and see how this builds into our current reality. Because right now, that legacy is under immense strain. The grid we rely on still largely runs on an architecture built way back in the mid-20th century. Today, 70% of transmission lines are over 25 years old. And we're slamming this aging system with massive new demands from electric vehicles and incredibly power-hungry AI data centers. Furthermore, rooftop solar panels are pushing energy back into the grid, which creates a bidirectional flow this old centralized AC system was just never originally designed to handle.
Which actually brings us to a beautiful piece of historical irony. As we shift toward decentralized renewable energy, Thomas Edison's beloved direct current is making a massive comeback. Yep, solar panels actually produce DC electricity. And to efficiently move massive amounts of renewable energy across thousands of miles today, we are increasingly turning to high-voltage direct current, or HVDC, transmission lines. So, the War of the Currents really defined the 20th century by centralizing our power. But as our energy rapidly becomes decentralized again, relying on solar, on our roofs, and batteries in our cars, it seems the ultimate winner isn't just AC or DC alone. Does the resilient, intelligent grid of our future actually belong to a harmonious blend of both? It's a fascinating evolution, and the next chapter of this story is literally being written right now. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep questioning how the world around you is wired.